Hey there, what is going on YouTube? Welcome to HaveKnifeDay, and today we're going to take a closer look at the Real Steel H7 Special Edition. Now, this knife's been out for a while, so it has some videos out there, and I will share my experiences and opinions and whether or not I would grab another one. To get us started, we'll check out some dimensions. This is a full-size knife, and you have 3.6-inch blade, and a 14C28N, and it has got just over 3.5 inches of cutting. Your overall length is 8 1/4, and your handle length is just under 5. Your grip area is about 3 3/4 inches, and we'll get to the thickness here. All right, well, if I can get that leveled up there. So your blade stock thickness is 0.13, 0.12 of an inch. Your overall handle thickness is exactly 1/2 inch. So it's full size, but it's pretty slender. Let's see how much it weighs. It's pretty substantial. Oh yeah, almost 6 ounces. So 5.9 ounces. Do some size comparisons right quick. PM2 at 8 1/4 overall, so it's exactly the same size. Now, camera angle is going to make it look a little bigger. Then when you get here, the PM2 looks bigger. So we'll go with that. We will go with the Delica at 7 1/8. So about the same size as PM2, but it's got more cutting than both. How's it going to sit in the pocket? Well, it has a deep-ish carry clip. Deep carry clip, but they did not put emphasis on that, so it's sitting down a little bit, so it's going to sit like this in the pocket. Not to worry though, there's no flipper tab, so the width is about the same, and it's just a pinch thicker than the PM2. Alright. What do you got for materials? As I said, you have 14C28N blade steel. Looks to be a PVD coating on that, but the information online does not suggest that it actually is a PVD coating. It does not look like a black oxide or anything like that. It's a little too shiny for that. You have aluminum scales over stainless liners. You have a steel backlock. You have a steel backspacer. You have a single position or dual position pocket clip that is good for tip up or tip down carry. However, it is not reversible to the other side. And that is because this also has a lock. So in addition to the back lock, it also has this lock. And now you can't close the knife. I will say that this lock, I don't know how great it is because you can depress that quite a bit, and I don't know how strong the engagement still is up there. So, you know, your mileage may vary. I think a back lock, you only have to push it down that much to get it to disengage to begin with, which is right there. So I don't know how strong this is. So, you know, you still have, you have a little bit of engagement, but I don't think the lock is going to be that strong. I think the materials are pretty good. You know, 14C28N is a great balanced steel. It really doesn't need a coating. It has good, you know, overall the balance is good, has good toughness, pretty good corrosion resistance. It keeps its edge for a while, so, you know, all in all, pretty good. I picked this up on the secondary market. It does have some marks on the blade, and I've used it a little bit. So there's that. Let's do a hardware check right quick. Let's see here. We'll get out the usual suspects here. If you don't know why I say that, there's a movie with Kevin Spacey and a bunch of other awesome actors, and it's called The Usual Suspects. Great movie. If you have a chance, check it out. So we got T8 in the pivot. It appears though it's captive. Let's give it a check. And it is. So you have a captive pivot. Let's make sure I didn't mess up the centering because it came to me centered. Everything else appears to be T6, so we don't need T10. So let's see, it even has a one for the thumb stud, T6 on everything else. These scales are milled and they are aluminum, so I have to be careful so I don't scratch them. I'm not a huge fan of aluminum scales as they wear off over time, and you cannot anodize them unless you have a lot of equipment. So T8 for the pivot, T6 for everything else. Pretty much standard. You're running on phosphor bronze washers in the pivot. You can barely see them in there, but if you crouch down right there like that, you can see that bronze phosphor bronze washer right there, and you've got one on the bottom as well. Some of these knives from Real Steel, older ones like this, some of them came with nylon washers. So, how's the action? It's got thumb studs and it's a back lock. But you know what? The action is pretty good. I just reverse flicked it. You can do that. Thumb stud deployment, I probably over tightened the pivot, which I did. I'll untighten that just a pinch. There we go. So, action's pretty good for a back lock. You have to give it some wrist, but if you do, it's pretty good. Closing, you want to do it two-hand. It's not as intuitive, like if you do this, it's not as intuitive as this. So, the back lock on the Spydercos are a little less temperamental, I would say. It's got solid lockup, no blade play left, down, upper, right. It also is perfectly centered, and I picked this up on the secondary market, so pretty good for that. It was listed as in excellent condition, and it is. So all in all, action's pretty decent for what it is. The designer is Liang Gang, and he designs many knives for Real Steel. This knife is made in China. I believe the OEM for this is probably SRM or maybe Proella, I'm not sure. Both of them make knives for many manufacturers, and this has some telltale signs of SRM, you know, build design, aesthetics, quality, materials, things like that. So overall, I think the design is awesome. I love the milling on the aluminum. It looks very cool. I like how they started it here and they just kind of made it go out, almost like a sunburst pattern. You know, you've seen patterns like that on some Shirogorovs, on some Chris Reeve knives, you know, something similar, not exactly the same for sure. You have some scallops here, you have some scallops here, your fingers land in naturally, the blade is attractive. You have functional jimping on the very tiny thumb ramp. You have a nice swedge that carries all the way down. The edge is nicely knocked down. You have a full-size blade. It looks like it might have a slight recurve, but I can't tell. You have a generous sharpening choil, which is nice. They did not try to make this into a forward finger choil, which you do not have enough room. All the edges are nicely knocked down. It's a bummer they did not include a spot over here for lefties, because that would make this a fully ambidextrous knife. The lock, as I said before, I don't think the lock engagement is really all that. You know, you can put a lanyard through here, which is fine, but I think that's kind of goofy. I don't think that's a great place for a lanyard hole, but that's what they did. So overall, I think the design's pretty okay. If I can get the lock to go up, there we go. It's attractive. It has an upscale look and feel. The thumb studs are nice. They have a nice texture to them, nice pattern on them, but they're not sharp by any means. I think this carries pretty well. It fits pretty good in the hand. I think the weight at just about 6 ounces is fine. You know, this is pretty thick scales of aluminum, and it's all steel back here, so it's going to be heavy. I think the pocket clip rides a little high. It is springy enough, but I will say that since it has such an abrupt edge there and there, your approach and departure angle is a little abrupt, so in and out of the pocket is okay. It does sit up high enough, and they did not recess the screws, so they have regular button screws, so that's going to catch on whatever you put this, you know, whatever hem you're going over to put this in your pocket, it's going to catch on whatever material that is. Pocket clip also has some edges. They're not super sharp, but you do feel it in the hand. Your reverse grip is pretty good, and your forward grip is pretty good. Again, you can feel the pocket clip, but it's not too edgy, so that's not a big deal. Everything inside has been milled, nicely knocked down. Your milling is good. Overall, very attractive. It is slicey. I mean, this thing is a razor blade. 14C28N takes a great edge, so it's pretty easy to sharpen as well, and it stays sharp for a pretty decent amount of time. Now, would you like one? If you want one, you're going to have to find one of these on the secondary market, and as of time of filming, I could not find any of these for sale. This is the box it comes in. This is not the box it actually came in, but this is the same box it would come in. And you basically get the box, you get a microfiber cloth, and you get some, a little pamphlet on the knife, and that's about it. If you're buying this for work, I don't know if you would, because the scales are really too nice for that. But if you're buying this for work, you're probably going to toss the box, but the box is okay. These are $75. I think for the milling, the aesthetic and everything is pretty nice for $75, but man, I really wish it wasn't a backlock. That kind of sucks. If you're using a backlock for work, aluminum scales kind of suck, because you're going to drop it, you're going to scrape them up, they're going to look terrible. And it's not like you can just easily fix them or anodize them. So, on a knife like this, on a backlock, I would much rather see G10. I think G10 would be a much smarter option. Because, if you're buying a Delica for work, now this is a glow-in-the-dark edition, but if you're buying a regular Delica for work, you're going to spend about $75. You can throw this thing anywhere. You can't hurt it. And even if it's used and old, the bidirectional FRN is awesome. So, I don't really know who this is for. If you want 14C28N and aluminum handles, there are plenty of Chinese manufacturers out there that are doing aluminum and 14C28N, and they're not backlocks. So I bought this just because I collect older knives that are discontinued, and I just thought it was cool. And you know what? For daily EDC, it is cool. It's very cool. And yeah, I'd probably buy another one. I like the fact it's a full-size knife. The aesthetics are cool. It looks a little upscale, and it didn't break the bank. I didn't pay $75 for it. As I said, I got this on the secondary market from a gentleman on Blade Binge, and it's a pretty cool knife. So that is going to do it for me today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comments. If you like this video, leave it a like and subscribe to see more. Thank you for watching, everybody, and as always, have a knife day.